welcome back to the Apostles Corner, where we have real conversations. We're talking to real people, and we already acting up, and those people are living real life.
Amen.
I'm very excited about today's program. I am, man. This season has really been helping a lot of people. We've been hearing from people from across the country. Of course, we're in different countries of the world. That's exciting to know that our voice is being heard by people from all over the world. I don't know what's wrong with her today. So we're talking about boundaries. The first episode, we talked about the need for boundaries. And then we defined boundaries. And then the episode 2, I think we talked about the need for boundaries and the importance, that we of them in our life. The thing about boundaries, though, is, I'm sorry. I'll tell you, she threw me off.
I didn't do anything.
Y'all know who I am, right? I am Brian Harris, your host. And this is my co-host, Dr. Kimberly R. Harris. I never mess up like that on my show. I didn't start doing it until I invited her on my show.
Now we're playing the blame game. Crossing my boundary.
You crossing my boundary because I don't mess up on my show. All right, let's go back because I got things to say. So there's a lot of things that I've learned about boundaries. There's a lot of things that a lot of people telling us that they have already crossed off a lot of things in their life that we've been discussing, which is good. It kind of confirms that we're on the right track because not all people have even started this process. Right. Because boundaries can be very fearful, especially with people that we love, and we'll talk about that today. But what I want everybody to get today, and man, this is really so near to it's almost emotional because this is the emotional part of boundaries. Because here's the subject for today, episode 3. We're not responsible for people's response. Mm-hmm. So the subject for today, episode 3, is you're not responsible for their response. We are really not responsible for their response. But that's the number one thing we fear.
Right.
When it comes to setting a boundary. First of all, setting boundaries isn't easy. Paralyzing fear about how someone might respond can easily hold us back, and it does. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we even go as far as playing the awkward interactions in our minds. I've done that a billion times to prepare ourselves for the worst possible outcome. Right. People go back and forth in their minds like, first of all, 1,000,000 miles a minute. I don't really know how fast that is. It's just a term that I learned from the country living that I grew up in. They go back and forth in their mind 1,000,000 miles a minute. They come up with every possible scenario. Their anxiety is high, and it's just them and their thoughts about the outcome,
right?
And the awkward interactions of knowing it's time to set this boundary. Because even though this is awkward and I'm uncomfortable and I don't know how they're going to respond to this,
right?
Gosh, I got to set this boundary. This is scary. Only problem is, regardless of the fact, short-term discomfort for a long-term healthy relationship is worth setting that boundary every time.
It is.
I feel like you have something to say. You're trying to hold yourself back.
I'm just following your lead. You were talking about anxiety, and I don't know if this is in the same part of the chapter that you were in, but it was saying a lot of times that the reason why we have anxiety or we anticipate and we run through these scenarios in our mind is based on how somebody is going to feel when we tell them no or we set a boundary is based on how we feel when people set boundaries with us or tell us no.
Right.
And sometimes you are projecting how you respond onto other people instead of giving them the opportunity to respond to the boundary
whatever way,
however they're going to respond. Because let's be real, we cannot predict everyone's responses. Even if we've had situations and experiences with them in the past, we don't know because maybe they've grown since the last time we set a boundary with them.
That's true.
And so you're playing these worst case scenarios over and over in your mind, but you're the only person who's writing this script. You're writing your part and you're writing their part. And so many times you get frustrated and angry and upset with people in our minds because of how they responded to us setting the boundary. And they really haven't even heard it yet.
They haven't heard it yet. Yeah.
And so then you go into the situation, either you don't do it because you've already had this response to their made up response in your mind. And now you're already frustrated about how they hypothetically responded to you.
Yep.
Or you go into it, you do it anyway, but you go into it with the wrong attitude and the wrong posture because you're frustrated with the scenario that already played out in your mind.
In your mind. Yeah. And
because in your mind, they already really did respond that way.
I'm gonna talk later on about something called defensiveness, how people respond, like some of the common responses. One of them is defensiveness. I think that's why sometimes things actually blow up because we've already worked ourselves up to believing that is the outcome. So then we approach the situation. We talked about that last week, how you can say the right things the wrong way.
Right.
Yeah. It would turn the Bible says a soft word turneth away wrath, you know. So but when we work ourselves up, we automatically go into it. Oh, this is how they gonna act, so I'm just gonna go ahead. You don't want that, but you feel like you have to I don't know what it is. When we get it in our head that somebody's going to respond a certain way, we go ahead and get our defenses up, and we actually start the fight.
Right.
We don't. That's not what we're trying to do.
It's not your intention,
but it's what happens because you're assuming that person is going to respond like that, and it's just. And the crazy part about it, they can respond like that, but they could also shock you and say, you know what, I think we do need to have this conversation. I'm going to be mature about it. And you may be missing an opportunity, to see something different in somebody who has responded to you negatively before. Yeah. Just off of, you doing it the right way. But when we work it up in our minds, it's like, that fear come on us.
Because then anxiety you go into it with a defensive tone. Yeah. And sometimes the words that we might use, even with them, is suggestive. Like, I already know you're not going to like this. And then that causes people to be defensive.
That's true.
And so we
Preachers
really have to be careful.
I do it in preaching sometimes. Y'all don't like this, do you?
Yeah, I know.
You don't know if they like it or not.
Right.
They're listening. Some people are taking notes. How they not liking something that they're writing down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like they may not, it may not feel good, but they may have a greater appreciation because it's the truth. Right. So it's like, but you're already self-defeated in your head because you think because the way it hit you as the preacher.
Because you didn't like
it. God, you owe me this time. Now I got to go tell them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're projecting.
I'm projecting my feelings onto them because of the way it felt with me. Somebody may be out there hungry.
Hearers at that point.
Yes.
And it's the same way in a conversation. If you come into the conversation with that mindset and that attitude and those words even, then you create that wall. Yeah. You slap the wall up and then you wonder why they're looking at you like that. Yep. So we have to be careful about that because
we do.
We'll think they started the fight and
it really
then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
but you sort of led it in that direction.
Yeah, yeah.
See, I was right about it.
Yeah. I knew that was going to do it. Just give you something else to fuss about. And sometimes, watch this. Yeah. Let me say this, Doc. Because the truth of the matter is this, is that sometimes we're uncomfortable with our boundary. We think somebody else is uncomfortable with our boundary. Mm-hmm. So in order for us to feel good about our boundary, the fight needs to break out so we can come back and tell ourselves, that's why I create the boundary right there.
Yeah.
Don't even realize that you're the reason
you are the problem.
that the smoke starts.
Right. Yeah.
You started the smoke. You know what I'm saying? You started this fire,
Yeah, but like you said, sometimes that's the only way that you can feel okay
with your boundary.
Is because people walk in and out of relationships and people's lives for a number of reasons. But
and all the time.
Sometimes we feel like, oh, because someone needs to move on or move forward, we can't accept that without there being some sort of blow up and some sort of rift that has to happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have to be that way. We can have healthy separations.
Yeah.
People can have, a divorce is not healthy, but you don't have to kill each other in the process.
If you're both in agreement.
You can be amicable.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, this is what we need to do. We're not good together. This isn't going to work. If we stay together, we're likely to kill each other.
Yeah.
God's not in it. We didn't consult him in the first place. And he's not co-signing it. And it's just a disaster.
So true.
But you don't have to let the disaster continue. If separating or getting divorced from one another is the solution for the disaster, why do you have to keep being a disaster to one another after that?
Yeah.
You might as well have stayed together.
Y'all just gonna be in each other's life on purpose
and be a disaster.
To hurt each other.
Yeah, it's crazy. But instead of just having healthy boundaries, you go your way, I go my way.
Yeah.
And we don't have to hate each other.
Yeah.
To feel good about the fact that we needed these boundaries.
Yeah.
And
That brings me to this. There's a 2-step process to setting boundaries. And the first one we could talk about all day, because I feel like in this generation, with technology, with all of the distractions that keep us from actually talking to each other, that communication is almost a lost art among just everyday people. You don't have to have a degree to have proper communication, but sometimes depend on your environment that you were raised in and the environment that you're currently in. Communication is defined by many different things. And so there's a 2-step process to setting boundaries. And one is communication. The other one is action. Communication is verbally communicating your needs is step 1. People cannot accurately assume your boundaries based on your body language or unspoken expectations. When you explicitly state that what you expect, there is little room for others to misinterpret what works for you. Assertive statements are the most effective way to do this. Assertive statements. In other words, know what you need to say it with clarity, say it with sincerity. You don't have to let your insecurities cause you to, your default system like me sometimes, you want to laugh your way through it and think, people don't take you serious when you're doing that. I can always tell when I done had enough because I stopped laughing. It's like, okay, in order for me to let them know that I'm serious, ain't no LOLs and no texts, ain't no, we want to make people feel good while we setting a boundary because we want to control their response. I'm telling you right now, no matter, just because you're clear doesn't mean it's going to be well received. And you'll hear me say that again later on. Just because it's clear doesn't mean you're going to be well received. You are not in control of how the person takes it. The only thing that you're in control of is the fact that you need to be clear about what your needs are. Other than that, nothing else, absolutely nothing else is important at all. Be clear about your position and about what you need. And so then after that, then there are actions. Action is the process doesn't end, it doesn't end with communication. You must uphold what you communicate through your behavior. In other words, when I was coming up, they say, put your money where your mouth is. Don't just tell somebody what you need and then go over to someone else and let them, do whatever when you just told them that you don't like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, you tell them to do all this talking, and then 5 minutes later they get to do the same thing all over again. So betting on the other person to read your mind is a recipe for an unhealthy relationship. Action is always going to be required. I'm gonna be honest with you, and you may be able to stop me or carouse me because I just get a little bit perturbed with people who want you to understand them without them explaining them to you and their needs. Like, what in the world do you really need? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not getting this and I'm not getting that. I'm not getting this and I'm not getting that. I need, you know what I'm saying? What is it exactly do you need? Because, you know, we're not robots, first of all. We're not robots, and we're not mind readers. We're not soothsayers. That's not what we are. Right. We are believers, and we're human.
Right.
And so we're not supernatural. We're not all knowing. That's Jesus Christ. That's the Holy Spirit. That's God the Father. That's not us. I'm not all knowing. I have limitations on what I know. I have to study on what I know. I have to listen to God to know what I know. if it's not being read, to get revelation or inspiration, you know. But to sit back and walk with a human being who can talk back to me, right, and then be expected to just know what you need based on how you acting at the time, that is not fair. Right. That's the first. That's reality. Yeah. That's not fair. That is wrong for you to go through some, you know, all the changes you're going through, and I have to, you know. And then here's the thing: you don't even want me to walk away from you. You want me to take it all the time. You know, knowing that you are dysfunctional, and yet you could actually tell me what your issues really, really are. Mm-hmm. And I go through. I mean, that's just a lot. I can't stand that this generation just seem to have a real problem with communication. Why do people have such an issue with saying how they feel or saying what they need? That's a pet peeve for me. Cause I'm a man, and I'm you know, men are known to be non-talkers, but I disagree with that. I think it's people's idea of men. There's a certain type of man that don't talk. You know what I'm saying? There's a certain type of man that don't talk. I'm a talking man, which means that I'm going to put it all on the table, regardless of whether I'm wrong, whether I'm right, whatever the case may be. I want to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I think through communication is the only way you can be heard, and it's also the only way you can be understood.
Yeah. But some people don't realize that they're doing themselves a disservice. Not only are they doing you a disservice, you know, the person who they expect to read their mind, but they're doing themselves a disservice, because you will never, like you said, you will never be heard, nor will you be understood. Mm-hmm. So you will likely never get what it is that you're actually looking for. And one of the things, and I've been guilty of this, and I've been working on it, is, you know, things that just are common sense to me, taking those things and just expecting other people for it to be common sense to them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, you have this expectation, or you have this boundary for how you live, you know, and I may have this thing, and I may not even say it, but then I have the expectation. And then when that boundary is crossed, being like, well, common sense really should have told them X, Y, Z. Well, common sense is based on your experiences in your life and what you know.
Ain't that common?
It's not, and
that's
it's
not good
common.
English, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's not that common.
And it's not common to everyone, because what's common sense to me, we all were raised differently. You can have lived in the same house with a sibling and been raised by the same parents and still have been raised differently, to have different values, different thought processes about things. Mm-hmm. And so your common sense comes from your background, your experiences that you've had in your life. If there are things that are important enough to you to get upset about if someone does them or crosses a boundary, then those are things that need to be expressed. Mm-hmm. Or if there's a real true need that you have that needs to be met, you need to say that in relationship to the person that you're in relationship with, because you really have no right to be upset with them when they then don't do what you expected them to do, but you never told them that you need it. And you can't be vague about what you need.
Man.
I need affection. Well, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying?
You want me to touch you?
Right. I need affection, but I don't like physical touch.
Right.
Okay, then explain to me, what affection do you need?
Or I only want to be touched in private. Don't hold my hand in public. I don't like PDA.
Right.
You know, all of this, just, you know, humans are so complicated.
We are. I mean, that's
We're so complicated.
That's
Look,
the
I no
real-
wonder I stay in my little hole half the time because it's just, you know what I'm saying? I have anxiety. I mean, I struggle with anxiety. So to me, I'm not saying everybody has to be like me, but I have a need.
But I think
I have a
that-
need to be around people who at least have the common decency
But I think
to
that's-
operate in certain areas
what
in order
will
for
help-
me to deal with them.
But that's what will help your anxiety is knowing, coming out of your hole and knowing that everybody in the world doesn't think like you. Everybody's not going to respond to general life things the way that you do. And having an expectation of them to, or thinking that it's common sense for them to, is going to increase your anxiety because you're always anticipating, because you already really intellectually know that everybody doesn't think the same.
And I get that.
And so, but you still have a desire for people to
Yes.
respond in a certain way. So then that intellectual knowing and then that desire that you still have for people to respond in a certain way, which is then most times met with disappointment
Yes.
if you haven't expressed what you need or how you would like for, you know what I'm saying?
Well, again,
Something
sometimes
to
you
go.
can express it and still it goes right over people's
I know.
head.
And that's
I mean,
that's
'cause-
one of the things that talks about in the book, the
Yeah.
ways that people respond.
Yeah.
Sometimes people respond with just absolutely
yeah.
acting like you never said a word.
Never said a word. Yeah. But I mentioned the men who are known for being non-communicators, but there's a group of women that's coming up today. You know, back in the day,
I think it was just
even the comedians used to say stuff like, when a woman want to talk, y'all better know that a woman want to talk.
Yeah.
So like, but now today there are women who have the I don't want to sound offensive, but have what is known to be a mannerism of men who are totally shut down when it comes to communication. And I'm not just talking about, among other people, but just one-on-one, like don't know what to say to you, don't know how to tell you about them, don't know how to express themselves properly, unless it's something maybe sexual or something that aroused them and caused them to be angry. Those are the type of women that I have been able to be in communication with in the last, maybe 10, 15 years, where those are the times that they really only express themselves, whether it be something sexual or relational, as far as like a love relationship, and then they still can't tell you who they are. They can tell you what they want, but and that changes based on however they feel. But then like just if you cause them to be upset, they'll get you off of them some kind of way through their verbiage or their attitude or whatever. But just sitting and having a mental, intellectual, stimulating conversation, that's hard to find, even in females today.
Yeah, I don't. But that's the thing. I don't think it's ever been any different. We get these stereotypes and we just say this is how men are, this is how women are. They were taught by somebody how to be non-communicators.
That's true.
Most likely the women in the previous generation who were their mothers or their grandmothers. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't just start here.
Yeah.
It's just these were the stereotypical roles that people said, oh, all men are like this or all women are like this. And it's like, what research did you do? What you know what I'm saying? Statistically speaking, do you have some real numbers, or is this
Right.
just what we say anecdotally? And then it's like everybody's just like, oh, men don't talk, and women are the talkers.
Yeah.
Well, we have poor communication and good communication on both sides.
On both sides,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And it has always been that way.
Yeah.
It has always been that way.
Yeah. Some people think, well, you just talk, Pastor B, because you came from a family of talkers. Well, I came from a family of people who talked a lot, but when it came down to things that were important and necessary and that created boundaries and dealt with things that was hurting people wouldn't tell you anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And to this day, they're quiet on the things that really matter, that could be very destructive or have been destructive in our family. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I may have come from a group of talkers, but that's at the barbecue. That's at the family reunion. That's
just because you talk a lot doesn't mean that you're a good communicator. Right. I know a lot of people who will never shut up, but they are the worst communicators that you would ever want to meet.
Get men around a basketball or a football game and they're screaming to the top of their lungs, but ask them anything about being a good husband or being a father or just being a Christian, being a man of God. Sometimes they are silent. They don't have anything to say outside of that. Why? Yeah. Because those are the things where they feel like they don't, their masculinity goes out the window, and it's not true, but that's their idea of the whole thing. They don't realize they're supposed to be on the front line in those areas. You know what I'm saying? So you should be able to, I expect for a man to be able to communicate about, let's talk about being a husband. Excuse me. I expect for a man to be able to talk about being a good father. I expect for a man to be able to talk about a Christian man anyway, to talk about being a believer, faith, the scriptures. I expect for you to show interest and excitement and enthusiasm about those things. Why? That's who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, surely a pigskin doesn't create more communication than Jesus in your life. But if
that's what they know, and those are their experiences, what's common for you grew up being excited about, you know what I'm saying, these things. Somebody else might have grown up only being excited about, sports or football, because those might have been the things that were important to their fathers and the people that were raising them. You grew up excited about the thing that you saw your father excited about. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
I didn't see my father excited about anything because I didn't see him. But we're not going to talk about that. At the end of the day.
That's a boundary.
What's the boundary?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, he was my daddy. But I mean, at the end of the day, but even in that absentee, situation, there are things that people might expect from me that might be an unfair expectation without it being expressed, because I didn't have a daddy. Well, not maybe, I didn't have a daddy to teach me these things. I had uncles and men in my life who were father figures, but that is different. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so they taught me the things that they could teach me, and but for someone to have an expectation of me that they would have of someone who grew up with a father. So we have to take into account that people have a lot of different experiences.
A lot of them,
that have shaped their lives all the way up into the point where we entered into their lives. Yeah. If I meet you at 40,
wow,
I can't discount all the experiences that you've had from 0 to 40 and act like we've had the same experiences, so we should have the same common, you know what I'm saying? That's not fair.
Common ground.
Because if someone else had different experiences, and then they expect me to respond or to act or to have, you know what I'm saying, be able to have certain conversations just based on their own upbringing, then that's not, that's not going to be fair, because I didn't have what you had. I didn't experience what you experienced.
Kind of like one of my friends here. He told me, he's like, man, you're a great guy. You just country. Right. He was like, here in the city, you have to lay the country down, or people will take advantage of you because they can hear your communication. They listen to your communication. He said, and what you got to do, you just got to pick up a different, not change you, but there's something about you that cannot be revealed. You gotta act like you belong. You gotta act like you've been here. You gotta act like you deserve it. You gotta know what you bring into the table, or people will take you for granted and end up taking advantage of you. And so he been here all his life. So, and he's all over the place. He's on every platform I've ever, been, any church or conference, anything. He's always been on the front line, even at his church. He's the executive pastor. So my thing is, you got to know, you got to be able to communicate the right way so that people will not, again, take advantage of you in situations, in because your boundaries have been established by you. Communication, and then that action that follows up that says, oh no, I'm serious about this. I know you're gonna try it, No, it's not going to happen. And can I say this? This is another thing, and we may get down into this a little bit later, in this season. But no is a complete sentence. It don't need any apologies. It don't need to be explained. No is a complete sentence. Be good. I'm telling you, you're going to have to be good with your no, though.
Yes.
You gotta be good with your no. If you're not good with no, then you will flip up and down, and because of the people's responses, you'll be like, oh, but I didn't mean. No, you did mean no. You did mean it. You gotta be able to stand on it, and you gotta keep on pressing, through, because people will try to manipulate you and make you try to shake you up, on your no, so it'll change.
Right.
If it changes, then they know you didn't mean it. That means when you say no, when you get sick of them next time, then guess what? I can do this all over again, and don't worry about it. He say that all the time.
Yeah.
He say that all the time. One of the things that the Lord taught me was it's consistency that proves the point, not the amount of words.
Yeah.
you can say something over and over and over and over and over, and every time you fold just because of the way somebody responded to it. They ain't gonna believe it just cause you keep saying it.
Right.
They're only gonna believe it when you enforce it consistently.
Yeah.
That's what the Lord taught me.
Yeah. And you don't have to explain no. No is exactly what it is.
Yeah. You don't have to apologize for it. You don't have to feel bad about it. If you're good with it and you know it's good for you, you should feel good about it.
Yeah.
No matter how they feel.
And we shouldn't expect other people to always explain no to us.
Right.
Because I don't want to. If it's just no, I don't want to have to explain to you why it's no. It's just no.
Right. It's just
you know
no.
what I'm saying.
That's it.
But I should have the same respect for your no.
Yeah.
If it's no, it's just no. I may want to know why.
Yeah. I may want to.
But I have to respect. If you don't want to tell me why and you want it to just be no, then okay, it's just no.
Let's talk about the legitimacy of it. We might want to know.
Yeah. Chances are you're going to want to know.
I want you to explain it to me. Because I don't just like nobody just telling me no. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
No one. But if it's necessary.
It's their right, whether or not they want. Some people may tell you why.
Yes.
And whatever they say the why is.
Accept it.
We have to accept it and not keep pressing them
for more
to
information.
over-explain themselves and to justify. Because now we're not just wanting to know why you gave me a no. I want you to justify your reason for giving me a no. And that's just unhealthy behavior.
Yeah. Because it's like, but you last time, it don't matter about last time.
This time.
I've grown since last week.
Or maybe I felt like it last week and this week I don't. Or maybe I had time last week and this week I don't. And so it's no.
That I'm going to go all the way to the end right quick. One of the things it says boundaries grow and expand over time as our needs change. So as our needs begin to change, our boundaries, they either grow. So like you said, so last week, I said no and I end up saying yes even after I said no. That's my prerogative. I get to change. I have a right to change my mind.
Or maybe I just said yes in the first place last week.
Right. So if I say no this week, then just know you got what you needed from me last week, and this week is about me. Now, can you handle that? Yes or no? Don't matter. This is what I'm doing, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I have a right to change my answer. Now, now you have to be careful with that, because that might cause you to be taken advantage of, and that may cause more of a problem. You got to be sure about what you want to do before you open your mouth. So the best thing to say is, if you say yes this week, say I'm saying yes this time, not just yes to every time that you asking me.
You don't really even have to explain that though, because every time you ask me something in that moment, I have the right to say yes or no. I don't have to say yes, but it might be no later on.
I think it also depends on who you're dealing with too. If you know somebody, I mean, I get what you're saying, but if you know somebody is determined to cross your boundary,
then you might want to say no in the first place.
Or maybe you all right with helping them, or maybe you all right with doing what you. Maybe it's you got space in your life for that.
Then you need to be clear what you're doing in the moment, not speaking to things that haven't happened yet, but in this moment, okay, yes, I can, and this is one of the things I read in the book. Yes, I can let you borrow $2,500.
No, I can't.
But
Ain't going to. Ain't gonna do it. I'm not
okay, let me be real.
Lord,
Let me be realistic.
you almost.
Yes, I can let you borrow $25.
20.
But
I need another 5.
but I'm gonna need that back on Friday, all of it, like you said. So on Friday, so they're gonna know on Friday. I'm expecting not half of it.
All of it.
I'm expecting all of it.
All of it.
And I'm expecting it on Friday because that's what I said that my expectations are. And if you can't give me all of it on Friday, then don't take it. I'm not going to give it to you. But if you give it to them, because really borrowing is just, unless it's somebody that you can really trust, you might, I think Oprah was the one that said, don't let people borrow what you can't afford to lose and not get back, because there's no guarantee that you will. But if that person has asked and they agreed to the boundary that you set, my boundary is that I'm going to lend you this money, this $25 until Friday, and I need all of it back on Friday. Do you agree? Yes, I agree. Okay. So if Friday comes and I don't hear from you, I'm not going to come chase you down. If Friday comes and I don't hear from you, even if you bring it to me on Sunday and you ain't said nothing between Friday and Sunday,
I'm not gonna say nothing about this interest I done had.
That's a boundary that you crossed because maybe I needed that on Friday.
That's
for
right.
myself.
Which is why I'm gonna add the interest on it.
Or maybe it's just a respect factor. Maybe I didn't need it on Friday. Maybe I already resolved in my mind. I'm only going to give you what again, I can handle losing and never getting back. But you still crossed a boundary because you agreed to something with me and then you didn't respect the agreement that we had. You didn't respect the boundary that I put in place. So you don't have to say it's yes this time, but don't ask me again. You know what I'm saying? But if it was yes this time and then they don't, abide by the stipulations that they agreed to, then next time you ask me, it's just no. And I'm not going to explain why it's no, because you know why it's no.
You know why it's no.
Because you act like you don't owe me $30,000 from last time.
Cause
to me, $25 might be the same as $30,000. So
you act like I rationed it out to you. Like I gave it all to you at one time. Yeah, I'm not asking for incremental, repay. I'm looking for all my money, all my paper, all my paper to come back at one time because that's how it went out.
Yeah,
I wanted to come. Let me move on.
Yes,
I'm getting the attitude.
Get yourself together, please. Thank you.
Get the attitude.
Don't let anybody borrow.
I'm getting the attitude.
Just give it to them.
Don't borrow no money from me if you ain't giving me back.
Just
tell you right now.
Here, you can have it.
That's why you only getting $5. I can give you that. I can give you that out of my change
just said
bucket.
20, and you were going to keep the 5.
I'm giving them 5 if they don't know how to pay no money back. That's all you got to pray for the rest of the money you need. All right. So there are 8 common responses to boundaries. This whole conversation is about responses. Mm-hmm. And here they go. I'm going to list them and then I'm going to go back and explain them. Number 1, pushback, limit testing, ignoring, rationalizing, and questioning, defensiveness. We mentioned that earlier. Ghosting, silent treatment, and acceptance. Now let's start with pushback. Pushback, it's typical for people to be resistant to changes in a relationship. It can be confusing at first. However, if someone respects you, that's the key word right there. Mm-hmm. If someone respects you, they will respect these changes. Now, what is pushback? Pushback is a manifestation of the fear that things will be different. Mm-hmm. Let me say that again. Pushback is a manifestation of the fear that things will be different, of being pushed out of the comfort zone. Now, even though different doesn't mean bad, mm-hmm. some people will struggle to deal with new terms in your relationship.
Yeah.
People they just struggle with it. They just, but it says if someone respects you though, they'll respect the changes.
Yeah. They're willing to go through the discomfort of things being different.
They're indifferent.
To see how it's going to play out. It may not, like you said, may not necessarily be bad, but sometimes we're just creatures of habit, and we're in a comfortable place with someone in our relationship. And sometimes you can be in a comfortable place for you, but you don't realize that comfortable place is harming the other person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you may not necessarily know that. And so it is good for someone that you respect to respect their boundary.
Yeah.
Someone that you value because they're setting that boundary for a reason. You may not necessarily know what the reason is. And if I respect you, I don't have to know, even if it bothers me.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that it will not bother me that you set this boundary. It doesn't mean I'm a human. I have feelings and we like to know things. We like to have explanations for things. And I want to know. I'm not going to lie. I want to know.
I want to know.
If someone says to me, this is how it has to be from now on, I want to know why.
I want to know why. Yep.
But and I might ask you why. But if you don't want to tell me why, then I have to just be like, okay.
I have to be okay.
And not make you feel guilty.
Or like I'm doing something to you.
Or like you're doing something to me. Or like, it's the end of the world. Okay, I have to consider and have empathy toward the person who is expressing their boundary to me, that there must be really something unhealthy is happening and that's bothering them to a degree that they feel like they need to set this boundary. Yeah. So whatever it is, maybe at some point they'll feel comfortable telling me when they've gotten past this point.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not the only person that they have to set this boundary with. Yes. So I can't be selfish and act like, you're doing something directly to me. Yeah. It may not have anything to do with me, but in order for them to have healthy boundaries with people that they may really, really need to have those boundaries with, so that in relationships that may not be healthy, they have to have this boundary across the board. Maybe that's the only way that they can do it, is if I have to be like this with everyone in all my relationships until I get to a healthy place.
Right.
And so we can't take other people's boundaries personally, just like we don't want other people to take our boundaries personally. I'm not doing something to you. I'm doing something for me.
For me. That's been the song that's been on my lips since last year. Especially as a pastor and leading grown-ups, some people feel like that I got to be their idea of a pastor rather than being a human that it just so happened to be their pastor. A lot of people want access to me, but then I don't really have true access to them in the same way. So sometimes I do things a lot. I've learned to do things a lot for me. But when I start going inside of me to take care of me, many times there's a few people that have a struggle with my personal self-care. Because, again, I'm a talker. So when I stop talking, everybody start getting uncomfortable. And it's like, I don't hate you.
Yeah.
But there are times that I actually shut up and stop talking.
As you should.
And I go and take care of myself. Yeah. Because contrary to popular belief, as much as I talk, I do not tell everything that's in my heart or on my mind or that I think. Because if I did,
no, just don't.
Half the stuff that I think,
just don't.
You don't want to know what I'm thinking. You want to know how beautiful you are, how pretty you are, how nice you are, how righteous and holy you are. You don't really want to know how I think, because sometimes for some people, not everybody, some people, it can be some ugly thoughts. I'm human, and I have to process and deal with that without coming to them and letting them know, hey, look, I don't agree with the way you are presenting yourself. I don't agree with the way you're responding or acting, right now in this season, because I have to give them the right, because I'm not their God, I'm not their Lord. In order for me to process and keep loving them, I have to let them, watch this, be themselves.
Right.
whoever that is. Even if I think who they are is not, that they may have better potential than to be something more than what they are. They'll never be that until they see that. Mm-hmm. Again, this is one of those things where it's like, okay, you can want more for a person than they want for themselves. And you cross their boundary of trying to challenge them to be more. And many times, they will offend you because you actually want more for them. And I've just learned that you can only do something. So instead of trying to do more for them, I try to be more for myself. Mm-hmm. And I give them what I think they can handle. And then I move on. You know what I'm saying? So I man, just things change. And I think I've been more consistently, even when I come out of that zone, I've been more consistent in keeping the relationship further closer to where I can handle, caring for myself than being overwhelmed with people. So I don't have to get away from people as much because I know how much to take on from people. Because pastors are dying, they're committing suicide, they're getting on drugs, they're having all type of illicit relationships, ungodly relationships, just to cope with the pressure of ministry. Because most pastors don't really pray the way they should and all that, and they're busy. Somebody's always calling them on them and all of that. So I don't want to be that guy. You know what I'm saying? So I have to take care of myself. You know what I'm saying? Because, man, it's already painful enough. So I want to be healthy when I stand before God's people and when I deal with them. And every time I see the people at church, I want to be able to share the love of God with them, not feel like, oh God, here they come.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Happy that the seats are being filled, but you could have stayed at home if you wanted to. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? Those unhealthy thoughts that come to your mind. All right. If anybody listening from Generation Church, I love you. Keep coming. I cope pretty good at this point, though. In the last year, I've really developed a healthy spirit and healthy relationships, I feel, with our church. Why? Because I had to put those boundaries there. I think the thing was I wanted more for people than what they wanted for themselves or what they could see for themselves. Mm-hmm. I have to give them time to process what I believe that I see in them. Yeah. And I'm not the convincer of that. God is.
Because someone has had to have patience with the process
that I've been in.
Because it's like, okay, I may want to see you in this place.
Yep.
But if you're not there yet, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
To be challenged on that when you know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, I can see you there all I want to, but I don't have a right to, I can encourage you, but I don't have a right to
control, manipulate, or try to convince you.
Yeah, I can't control your process or control how you see it. I can encourage you, but then I need to leave it at the point of encouragement, because then if not, I'm going to start having an expectation of you to do what I'm asking. I'm telling you, I see you here. Why aren't you moving in that direction?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't see them there, or maybe they see it and they're not ready yet, or maybe they're in the process, but you can't see it.
When you're invading space like that, the first thing people do exactly what we just described. Push back. They just push back. Yeah. And many times they'll do anything. Yell, scream, gossip about you, whatever.
Because that may be a boundary.
You off
Yeah. So the pushback doesn't always just come when we're setting a boundary and expressing that with other people. It's also when we are crossing a boundary that someone may not have expressed to us. But that we should there are some things that we should just in general respect as people's boundaries. I have to let you be an individual, and I can't try to make you be what I see you as.
Right.
And I can't try to make you be like somebody else or be like me or think like me or any of the rest of that, because you are an individual. There's a word in the book that she mentioned about emotional boundaries called enmeshment. And it was talking about emotional neglect. And sometimes people don't mean to emotionally neglect us. Sometimes it's not just that you're not getting the enough emotional care or whatever that you need. Sometimes when you have enmeshment, when people are too close, when families are too close, when even as a church, you can be too close to where you lose. Each person loses their individuality.
Yes.
Anytime you lose your individuality,
you're too close.
That is not healthy.
It can be like what we've seen. I've been doing this little research on this one group. And that is completely a cult. Those people.
That's a lot of things.
That's a lot of enmeshment.
It goes far beyond enmeshment. But
that's a lot of enmeshment.
But it's like when you have that enmeshment and you're super close, then you start to feel like you're not getting your emotional needs met. Even though you have this super closeness, you should feel like you're not being emotionally neglected. But when you can no longer have your individuality, then you feel like people in that group who don't allow you to have that individuality are not caring for your emotions in the way that they need to, because now I can't even be me. Mm-hmm. Whether the me that I want to be is okay with you or not, whether it fits your bill or not, whether it's the me that you see or not, you got to give me space.
Yep.
To have my individuality.
Yep.
And to be the me that I choose to be.
Yep.
Just like I got to let you be the you that you choose to be.
Yep. That's it. Or you'll create an environment of pushback just because you're forcing people into something that's different. You know what I'm saying? Now, your boundary, it can be different regardless of how they feel. But again, that's why boundaries is about you. It's not about them. Your boundary, it may cause somebody to push back, but that's a healthy pushback in my opinion.
Yeah, that's
because
fine.
that's just how they're gonna respond to me.
Yeah.
But if I'm pushing them to be something, them to be different for me, then
you're crossing a boundary.
I'm crossing the boundary, right?
Yeah.
So, but them having pushback because they don't like what I have to do for me. That's a totally different thing. That's not my responsibility. That's their responsibility. Let's move on. So another one is limit testing. It says kids do this a lot. It's part of a forming independence when they are little, but adults do it too. They hurt you, but they want to see how much you're willing to bend. Mm-hmm. When I saw that, I just felt so guilty at how much bending I have been doing in the last 10 years. Just bending, just because I didn't want to hurt somebody else's feelings. Just bending my own requirements. And all you got to do is do it for one person. You'll end up doing it for every single other person. Yeah. And like I said, I think last week, you do it for one person. That one person, believe me when I tell you, when people want to get to you, they will find out who you are dealing with, and they will come to that person and ask you what he's saying to you. How's he talking to you? How is he treating you? Or they will observe and sit back and watch how you deal with that individual, so that they'll see, how can I come against this boundary and get access regardless of the fact. So they'll see how much you're willing to be in. Limit testing sounds like this. I don't have to listen to you. It sounds like I'll check with you again to see if you can help. In other words, I know you said no, but I'm gonna call you again tomorrow. Yeah, I'm gonna check with, because I believe I can. Yeah, I'm gonna let you sleep on it because I don't think you think it straight. You know what I'm saying? You said you was tired, right? All right. Yeah, I'll call you tomorrow. I'll call you first thing in the morning, man. When you get up, eat your breakfast, give me a holler. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe it. I mean, they ain't saying that they believe, but that's why they saying it, because they don't think you're strong enough to hang on to your boundary. They just don't think it. So when you deal with limitation, when you go from limit testing, you start dealing with people ignore you. Now here it goes, Dr. Kim. This is gonna be a big one. People ignore boundaries as a passive aggressive way to pretending they didn't hear them. But boundaries should be respected. When people ignore our requests, resentment builds. That's that's another two-edged sword too, because if you ignore your requests and don't respect your requests, you resent yourself, and you also resent the people who disrespecting your requests. Yeah, but that resentment starts with you though. Yeah, because you, man, I'm telling you, I know this one so well because this used to be me. Going around fussing about people, disrespecting me. And the Lord had to teach me. That's you.
Yeah.
You're the reason.
You're disrespecting.
Why?
You.
Because we said last week or the week before that you teach. Boundaries is teaching people how to treat you. Well, if you don't respect what you stand, what you need, then nobody else is going to. Yeah, you're not a good teacher.
Yeah.
You're basically saying, okay, I know I told y'all to stand over there for a season, but I'm gonna leave from over here and come over there. And because see, and let me just say this. Help me, Jesus. Make sure you're making a boundary and not building a wall. Mm-hmm. A boundary is a healthy way of hanging on to a healthy relationship. A wall, all you gotta do to build a wall is have an attitude with somebody. And really, you don't want them to stay out the way. Yeah. You just mad. You want them to get off of you for a minute. You tired of people, all that. You frustrated. You angry. All of those are unhealthy emotions that create walls that keep people out that you actually love until they take you up on it, and then they go on to live their life without you. Yeah. Now you done shouted at everybody, cussed everybody out, threw everybody over there, and now you stand over here by yourself. Now you feel alone because they having fun over there without you because you was so narcissistic. I don't want to use that word too much because Dr. Kim says she's sick of people hearing it, saying it because they saying it out of context and all that stuff. But let's just use it for the moment. You're so arrogant and narcissistic that you think that their life is going to be terrible without you. You think you're so important that people are going to just stop fellowshipping just because you are not a part of the life of the party anymore. Well, they had life before you came around. Yeah. They had a relationship before you came around. You the one that said you needed space. So you go over there and we'll go over here. But then you can't handle it because why? You thought that when you was gone, they're going to be trying to get you back and trying to check on you and chase you and run you down. And people don't do that. People, not people with sense. They don't do that. Not people with good, healthy, boundaries and maturity. They don't generally chase folks down to see, if they really meant what they said. Right. 9 times out of 10, you keep telling people to move over there. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to keep moving on with their life. So make sure when you set your boundary, it's actually a boundary and not a wall. Because a boundary is saying, I'm overwhelmed. I don't have time for myself. Y'all heard it. Just go back to episode 1 or 2 and listen to those explanations. And when you do that, you'll understand what you're building. If you're building a boundary, then that means you still got people in your life. You just created space for yourself so that you could take care of you. Yeah.
And making boundaries, we're not supposed to use boundaries as weapons against other people. They're not supposed to be passive aggressive ways for you to let people know that you got a problem with something or issue with something. And then when they don't ask you, oh, what's wrong? Yeah. Now you mad because you're frustrated with them when you could have just said what was wrong instead of being passive aggressive about it and saying you're setting a boundary when you're really throwing up a wall. So that you can, the cold shoulder that you're giving them can cause them to want to know what's wrong with you. So then you can express yourself. Yes. Well, just express yourself.
Express yourself.
In the first place, because that's the healthy route to go. Because the moment that they don't ask you what's wrong, they just take you at your word. Okay, he needs this boundary. Mm-hmm. And that's not really what you wanted them to do. I'm saying I want you to stay away from me. But I don't really want you to stay away from me.
I really want to see if you'll chase me. Yeah. I want to see how valuable I am to you.
Yes. And then when they don't.
We experienced that recently with somebody. Somebody said they was going through something and they was just going to start tripping and all that. They admitted they was going to start tripping. And they said it. And they said, I'm going to test and see who loves me. You know what? And I said, well, if they don't know that I love them by now, they will never know because I'm not about to fall for this.
Yeah. Because that's manipulation.
I'm not about to fall for
those aren't healthy boundaries. Those are manipulative tactics. Yeah. And you cannot say, oh, I need this. This is the boundary in my life when really it's just a tactic
It's a
to get
tactic.
people to do what you want them to do in the moment.
In that
Or to
moment.
see how, I want to make you feel this
And what's
because
the
I feel
price?
that.
What's the price of a moment? Because if people understand, okay, boundaries, I need some space today. I need some space for about 3 weeks or whatever. Then people who respect you will respect that. But, if you back and forth every other day or something like that, real mature people and real healthy, emotionally healthy people, they're going to let you just have your life for yourself. They're not going to keep going back and forth with you for the rest of your life. I said it, I admitted that the other I think last week on the podcast, is that even family members, there are people that I could have probably had better communication with, that I could have saved the relationship. But instead, I just did the cutoff. I was so good at the cutoff because at the time, I didn't understand that I had anxiety. I didn't like pressure, and the response for anxiety is cutting people off. Is you got it real bad, and you struggle with it real bad. You cut people off just like that. And I've done that with church people, family, everybody else. After a while, I keep going back to people. They don't take being cut off too well. You keep cutting them off, and it's in an unhealthy way, not a boundary but a wall. Mm-hmm. They're gonna stay on their side. They're gonna be like, oh, you good? Oh, we proud of you.
Yeah.
Go find you some new friends.
Because remember, boundaries are supposed to help make relationships better. It's supposed to bring the relationship into a better place.
In a better place.
Not push people further away.
More trusting relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to give this example because it's kind of funny now. It wasn't then, but it was. It could have been funny then, but you didn't think it was funny, so I couldn't think it was funny. Oh. But and I won't say who it was, but it was some people that you were like, basically, I don't ever want to talk to you again. And so then we see these people, and then one of the people speaks like, hey, like you never said it. And then the other person keeps walking and doesn't speak to you. Just like you said, I don't ever want to, don't ever talk to me again.
Yeah.
And then you were upset and you were like, why they didn't say nothing? Why they could have spoke? But no, you told them to never speak to you again.
Yep. And they did it.
And they did what you asked.
Yep.
And then you were angry at them and acted like they were the ones that were.
But I told them how to treat me.
And they did.
And they treated me just like that.
And just because the other person didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The person that didn't speak to you respected the boundary that you put out there.
Watch this.
It wasn't really a boundary.
That wall that I put up. See, that person knew that I was building a wall.
Yeah.
They knew I wasn't building a boundary. Because if they knew I was building a boundary, it would have been a more respectful situation.
Yeah.
But because I was building a wall, that my wall hurt that person.
Yes. And you had no right to be upset about.
Well, I didn't even know it hurt them. Yeah. It's just, but I should have, because I created the wall out of my own pain.
Yes. And anytime we do that, you have to know that that's going to hurt the other people.
Yeah.
And I've done it. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you just don't know how to communicate what you need. Or when you try to communicate and then the communication doesn't go well, and then it's just like, I can't take it anymore, so I don't know what to do. Yeah. So I'm just going to slap this wall up here, and I'm just going to be behind it until I feel safe coming out. But it hurts the people on the other side of the wall.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you, man.
Thank God for restoration.
I do. I really do, because those relationships have been restored.
Yeah.
I can say that. I thank God for that. Those relationships have been restored by the grace of God. I thank God that person in my life. Matter of fact, one of the closest people to me right now is that person right there. And I had to think for.
Glad.
I had to think for a minute, because I was like, who did I do like this? You know what I'm saying? but because I cut off so many people.
Yeah.
I've cut off groups of people.
Yeah.
One time, like I'm just like, you look at this. Go through this. I got
and you know what's funny though? This is the one person out of the group that did what you asked them to do.
Yes.
And that was probably the person out of the group who was hurt the most by the wall that you put up.
Yep.
Which is why they had to just, for themselves, they had to just
because
act like you didn't exist.
Person hadn't done anything to me.
You. Exactly.
That person didn't do anything to me.
Yeah.
And I knew this person was loyal to me on a multiplicity of ways, and will probably fight for me if necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll still do it today, but that day they were like,
I'm doing
exactly what you asked me to do.
Here you go.
This is why it's different. It is a very,
I'm going to give you what you asked for.
Listen, it is very, very important that you learn to build boundaries and not walls.
Yes.
You will crush the very people who love you the most.
Yeah.
This person loved me deeply, and I know that they do. And like you said, you have to stop and thank God for restoration, because if not,
I thank God for it in my own life.
Good Lord.
Because sometimes you just, and it really takes God to be able to restore those relationships.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, it's tough.
None of us is perfect. I've done it. You've done it.
Yeah. That's why I like us having this conversation, because that's, we are not just giving you some intellectual dialogue. We are giving you experiential stuff. That's why it's hard to go through the intellectual stuff, because we got a story for everything. You know what I'm saying? These 18 years, we have had to struggle and fight through and suffer through some very bad decision making and some walls that we built up that kept us imprisoned and kept us from right relationships with people.
Yeah.
And man, you know, it's just because of the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, your wall will relieve you of pressure, but it will also create pressure.
My wall didn't. It created more pressure for me.
That's what I'm saying.
And I just had to deal with it. You know?
Yeah. So it'll create more
internal pressure.
Internal.
Nobody was bothering me.
Yeah.
But I was bothered
inside of you. Yeah.
every single day.
Yeah. So again, when people ignore our requests, resentment builds. Over time, this erodes respect in the relationship. So ignoring looks like doing what they want despite your boundary, or acting as if your boundary was misunderstood. They are around here pretending. All right, let's keep moving so we can close this out. Rationalizing and questioning. Since you accepted behaviors in the past that you now deem inappropriate, people will react by asking questions as a way to rationalize their behavior as unproblematic. People will even ask questions like, why can't you do this or that? Sometimes because you may have lacked the ability to stand your ground before, you may want to respond to them by making excuses or apologies, like we were saying earlier. But it isn't helpful to say you're sorry about setting a boundary. Remember, people benefit from you not having limits or boundaries. Let me say it again. People benefit from you not having limits or boundaries. You have to look out for yourself. No excuses required. People may question your shift when you've done things that you are no longer willing to do. It's okay to let them know that you changed your mind or that the arrangement no longer works for you.
Yep.
Man.
It's okay.
It's really okay.
Everybody has a right to say, I'm not in that space anymore, or that doesn't work for me now.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
For whatever your reason is.
Yep. I know we agreed to this, but it's not working for me. That's how y'all see it. Ain't that how y'all see it? I have a house full of girls and grew up with girls. It's not working for me. All right. So here it is. Here it is. Next one is defensiveness. We talked about this one. This happens when people feel attacked. Being clear in our wording helps minimize defensiveness. However, some people will respond defensively no matter how you state your expectations and desires. Defensively, people would turn the issue on you because they don't want to be at fault. Right. People don't want it to be, they don't want to be the reason why you're having to set this boundary. Right. So people would turn it on you no matter how you say it. But I will suggest and encourage and challenge you not to be the problem when you express your boundary. Because you can create, we already went through it, so I'm not gonna go through it deeply again, and intensely again. So you have control over how you say it. You just don't have control over how they respond.
Yeah.
All right. So there it is. Another one, ghosting. Ghosting is ending things without explanation or disappearing is often called ghosting, and it is an unhealthy response to boundaries. People who are passive aggressive use this response rather than stating their objection. I don't like it. Rather than saying I don't like it, they're going to try to show you how they feel through their actions. Ghosting, so immature and petty. Ugh. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said ugh, but it is. It's a ugh. Ghosting happens right away or a few days after you have made your wishes known. It's generally a form of punishment. In other words, somebody will ghost you.
To punish you for the boundary that you made.
Instead of saying that they don't agree or they didn't like something, they will just flat out disappear or try to stay gone out of your life just to punish you. Just to punish you.
Yeah.
That shows you who you're dealing with right there. If that was, I'm telling you, if that's me, man, if that's somebody do me like that, I'm telling you right now, I will stay gone. It take God. I'm telling you, it take God, because I'm not with all that toxic behavior. You know, I'm too old for that. You know, we can talk, because like you said, the only reason why they doing it is because they just want to express their objection. You can express your objection and stay around, but instead you rather act like you agree with it when you really didn't, and just disappeared.
Yeah.
Please keep yourself over there on the playground with the little kids.
Oh my God.
That's just how I feel about it.
I got you.
Because I can't handle that. I can't, because I don't think I do any people. Well, I have done that before. But again, immature days, I'm 47 now. I don't just disappear. If I disappear, I'm going to tell you I'm out. This is going to be real. Hey, look, I'm out. I can't do this. I'm going to say I can't do it. And then I walk away. And you don't have to worry about me explaining, because I'm gone. I don't learn how not to explain so much too. I'm gone. I'm out of here. Here go another one. I think we got two more. Silent treatment. This response is less extreme than ghosting, but still painful. Right. It's also passive aggressive and a form of punishing you for trying to set the boundary. This person will be noticeably distant.
Yeah.
Distant.
Because I'm around.
I want you to smell my cologne.
Talking to you.
But I ain't talking to you.
Dealing with you.
I ain't dealing with you.
You don't exist.
I'll talk to your wife. I'll talk to your daughter. I ain't talking to you. I'll talk to these other people.
But you know the quickest way to get people to feel foolish by doing that is to just let them. Just let them do what they're going to do.
Or sometimes just walking up to her and say, "What's up?"
No, I'm not. If you're having silent treatment, I'm not talking to you. You want to be silent, I'm let you be silent. But at the
sometimes
same time,
I do that though, because it's not petty. It's just the fact that I'm not going to let if I'm healthy, I'm not going to let what's in you bother me. I'm going to be godly and show myself friendly toward you, because I know you being petty right now. I know you being immature, and I know you think you bothering me, but you're not.
Honestly,
you're not bothering me.
I don't even know because I've trained myself not to take people's behaviors personally so much. I think somebody could be, I usually speak to whoever, but I think sometimes people could probably be giving me the silent treatment and I don't even know it. So I probably do end up speaking to people who are trying to give me the silent treatment, but I don't really care enough to pay attention to the fact that because I don't like people. It is what it is. So if you're trying to intentionally I'm probably not paying attention to that anyway. I'm probably just
listen. Once you get to know a person and they just keep showing you that's who they are, you expect for them to act like that. Yeah. See the people that I have to deal with like this, that go through this stuff right here, this silent treatment, and I want to show you that I ain't gonna talk to you, but I'll talk to your wife. Yeah. I'll talk to your daughter.
I
gotta say it like that. I gotta say I'll talk to your wife. I'll talk to your daughter.
Not the second.
I'll talk to everybody else around you. But I'm gonna show you.
Focus.
I ain't got nothing to do with you. Okay. I'm gonna show you.
Got your Barry White voice.
I ain't gonna. I'm so serious.
I can't take you seriously.
I'm so serious. I'm serious.
I know.
Because I know this stuff like that. I talk to your wife. I'm saying it on purpose.
Please, whoever you are, stop talking to me.
I talk to your wife. I talk to your wife. I talk to your daughter.
God.
I talk to everybody around you. I ain't talking to you.
I'm not doing this with you today. Let's wrap this up.
I'm serious. I mean,
know you are.
But again, like, you know, I can have fun with this. You know why? Because I ain't in my feelings over it.
Good.
You missing out on a good bruh. You missing out on a good friend. You missing out on somebody that's loyal to you. You missing out on somebody that believe in you. You missing out on all this good dude that I know that I am. You missing out on the love I have to give. You missing out on the encouragement I have to share. You missing out on the opportunities that God opens for me that I had plans opening for you. Guess what? That's you missing out. So at the end of the day, you put the nail in your own coffin in the relationship that we have because you don't even know who you playing with. And I don't play like that. So guess what? At the end of the day, you can talk to my wife.
Oh my God.
You can talk to my daughter. You can talk to everybody around.
Bless it.
But what's going to happen is I'm going to be kind to you because I don't want to be guilty of being petty and immature. I don't want to be guilty of that.
Yeah.
I don't want to look like you look. You too old to look like that and to act like that. Guess what? Since you choose to act like that, I'm going to be the bigger person. That's my decision. And guess what? Because I'm the bigger person and I'm in a healthier place, obviously, than you, I'm going to I'm going to choose not to bring up how you acting. I'm just going to walk up to you, give you my little love, you know, hug your neck, say what's up, hello, and keep it moving. Why? I know you ain't talking to me, but you talking to my wife. You talking to okay.
My God.
I'm just saying. I see what you're doing.
I get it.
You don't fool me. My eyes are right on you. I'm looking dead at you. I see how you doing. But I'm not intimidated by you. You can't shake me. I'm going to be kind because the Spirit of God lives in me. And that's the choice I make. That's why I can go to sleep at night and not worry about you and how you treat me. Because only way I worry is if I decide to treat you the same way. Yeah. Then I'll know I'm wrong and I know the Holy Spirit will convict me. I'm not going to do you like that because I'm a child of God. I see you as a child of God. You may not be my friend and we may never be close again, but I'll never treat you anything less than that, ever. I won't do it. All right. Won't he do it?
Won't he will. All right, let's go.
So again, this person will be noticeably distant.
Yes.
After you assert your need. If you try to talk to them, they will offer short responses like yes or no. It's lonely and confusing to be the receiver of the silent treatment. Mm-hmm. The other person is present, but not really.
Mm-hmm. I'm here, but I'm not here.
Selah. I'm not saying it again.
I'm leaving.
The other person is present,
mm-hmm.
but not really. And they could be sitting right in front of you.
Yeah.
Looking dead in your face, and you can tell mentally and emotionally they're completely gone.
Yeah. The only reason I showed up was so that you would notice that I'm not
talking to you. Yeah, I'm not dealing with you.
Otherwise, it's ghosting.
Yeah.
The silent treatment needs me to be present.
Yeah.
But not present.
Yeah. The silent, it needs me to be present.
I need my presence to sting.
Yeah.
Because I'm here.
Yeah. I need you to see me, and I need you to feel me. But we ain't finna say nothing to each other.
I need you to feel my disapproval.
Yeah, of you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good, Dr. Kim.
Yeah.
I need you to feel my disapproval.
Notice my disapproval.
Yeah. I need you to notice it. Which is why I talk to your wife and your daughter and everybody else around you.
On that. Continue. Wrap it up. I know this is your show, but
some of y'all, I just need the audience to understand. Like we laughing, but this is a real situation. This is a real live situation. But I instead of me complaining about it, I just live through it. I just enjoy it. At this point, it's like I enjoy seeing myself grow through it. Mm-hmm. And I placed a boundary there so that it doesn't hurt anymore. Because I realize it's childish, it's petty, immature. And honestly, I've chosen love over the whole thing. And so I'm cool with it. I'm all right with it. All right? Because I can approve of a person without approving of their action.
Their behavior.
That's just me.
Yeah.
I can do that. All right? And that took a while.
Yes.
I had to learn that. Because I could complain something to death.
Yes.
I don't do it no more. It's not worth it. All right, last one. Acceptance. Acceptance is the healthy way to respond to boundaries and is a sign of functional and mutual relationships. Boundaries are the cure. Now, say this right quick. Signs of an unhealthy relationship. You are unable to express your needs because the other person refuses to listen. Woo! Mm-hmm. Man, I feel sorry for anybody in a marriage like that. I do. You're unable to express your needs because the other person refuses to listen. Number 2, the other person refuses to meet reasonable requests. Mm-hmm. Wow. There is emotional, physical, or sexual abuse. Call the police or get to a lawyer or get you some help, something like that. Because, seriously, like you're in a real bad situation right there. Like if it's physical, well, any of those three.
Any abuse is not
any three. Yeah, any of those three. You need to go get some help. You need to find either get some help for it or find a way out of that. Because I don't encourage anybody to stay, especially if it's a marriage. I don't encourage anybody to stay in a marriage where there is physical, sexual, or emotional abuse. That's wrong, and I just don't think God will have a problem with you, walking out of something that's really literally and physically destroying you. I just don't. Number 4, you feel sad, angry, drained, or disappointed after most interactions. Number 5, the relationship is one-sided. You give and they take. Oh God, man. Number 6, there's a lack of trust in the relationship. Man. Number 7, the other person refuses to change some unhealthy behaviors. Number 8, the other person has an addiction that is harmful to you. All right. Now, last thing, areas where we commonly need boundaries: family, work, romance, friendships, and technology. Family, because I look at this like it's marriage. You know what I'm saying? I truly thank God for our families, because they don't get caught up in our business. They don't look for our business. They don't get in our business. We don't tell them our business. We tell them what we want them to know. You know what I'm saying? Which is mostly just goofy stuff, whatever. But nothing serious. Even our hard times, our family don't know when we're on hard times. They don't know when we're struggling. They don't know when we in disagreement. They don't know when something is wrong with us, because we worked that out. We worked that out and all of that. And I think that's biblical, because the Bible says if you're going to get married, a man must leave his mother and his father and cleave to his wife. So what kind of man would I be if every time I don't like something, I'm running to my mama or my daddy or something, you know what I'm saying, to tell on my wife? You know what I'm saying? I'm serious. Like, what kind of dude is that'll run to his family to deal with his marriage? Like, you married her, not your mama. If you and your mama talk more than you and your wife, it's something wrong.
Yeah.
I'm serious about that. All right, let me move on.
Yes, because we're going to have whole segments on those.
Yes.
Different ones, family and
family, work,
relationships,
romance, friendships, and technology. That sounds like social media, putting a boundary on how much I use social media, what day I use social media, when I should log on, all of that, or whatever.
It could be social media. It could be video games. It could be.
Yeah, that's true. Television.
Yeah.
Yep. Because all that can stand in the way of relationship and communication. Man, this was good. Did you enjoy this?
I did.
I think this was nice. I love it. I enjoyed it. I do.
You've been showing out all day, but
I've been showing out. I have. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been.
See, he admitted it. He said it was me, but now we know.
No, I showed out tonight. not because I just want to show out. These are. You know how you need to say stuff, and it's you trying to testify about what you know, but trying not to because it's just us, right? So I mean, it's easy to just say so and so and so and so, but We ain't just talking about that. We're on podcast.
We're not going to cross those boundaries.
We're not going to cross those boundaries, right?
Yes.
So, because we're not trying to hurt anybody.
No.
But they are real life
real life
situations.
scenarios.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
real life scenarios. Yeah, we're not making this stuff up. So we are protecting people, because we have to. And I think that's mature of us. But in order to help other people, it's important to tell the truth.
Yeah.
It's important to tell the truth about what you know and even deal with some of your own personal emotions and experiences. Yeah, mentality, things that I want to show y'all the truth. Like I've had to really pull myself together.
Yeah, because this is not just theoretical stuff. Yes,
Right.
yes, we're reading in the book, but it's also like this stuff is not just in pages of a book. It's real life, and that's what's so powerful about the book to me. I was telling Kiana earlier, and I'm going to let us wrap it up. But I was telling her earlier when I was reading the book, and she had called me, and she was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Sitting here reading this book on boundaries," and I was like, "I'm trying not to cry because I'm getting too deep. I don't want to think about this deep stuff." And she was like, "When are you going to therapy?" She's like, "You're always making sure I go. When are you going to therapy?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, yeah, I probably need to make that appointment."
You probably
but
need
sometimes
to
you just need to work through things. But that's the real life part of it is like it's not the words that are on the pages of the book. It's when you start working through the real life
stuff. Yeah.
scenarios that you've gone through or are going through, or even reaching back into your childhood and realizing that these are some of the reasons why you didn't have these boundaries in your life, and then the emotions that you never dealt with and those kind of things. So it's a really good resource. Again,
set boundaries, find peace.
A plug for this book.
It's really,
it's good, and it has a workbook that goes because there's an exercise at the end of every chapter where you have to walk through a process, and that's good because it's not just information. Again, I think I said that last time. It's not just information. It is a guide to help you walk through this, because setting boundaries is something that is difficult for most people who have not been taught, trained, and practiced how to do those things healthily.
And wanting to be liked and loved and accepted by everyone will keep you from setting proper boundaries. We live in a generation and in a culture that makes us feel like if we are not accepted by everyone, then that somehow we are not important.
There's something wrong with us.
Yeah, something wrong with us. And that's not necessarily true. You could just be in a toxic environment or toxic culture or people who don't respect anything or anyone, including themselves. So you can expect for somebody who don't respect anything, anyone, or themselves to actually respect you. They're not going to do it because it's not in them to do so. Now, these same people will demand that you do that for them, but they will not do it for you, because even the demand that they have for you is really just a act of control. That's all it is, act of control and manipulation. I want to see if I can get everybody under my thumb and get them to do it how I think they should do it, and get them to live how I choose for them to live, and in a way that makes me comfortable, so I can keep being me, and I don't never have to feel the threat of a change about to happen, and I can change up with all of them all I want because I got all of them under my control. And so that's, nobody's interested in being a friend of anybody like that. And if you're offended by offending somebody like that with a boundary, then you just got to ask yourself, what kind of spirit is controlling you? What kind of stronghold is in your life? What kind of soul tie do you have? Because at the end of the day, you should not want to be controlled by someone like that, or be in a relationship with someone like that, or feel insignificant because someone is treating you that way. You should have more value for yourself than that. That's the truth. So set your boundaries, be free, find peace. We'll see you guys next week. God bless y'all.